What's up guys, my name is Tim and I've been fixing BMWs for over a decade now, and this video is about long overdue update on the E90 330i project. So without further ado, let's get to it. Quick recap for those who have not followed the project. I got this car for 800 bucks. It was flooded, abandoned, and it's been sitting under the rain for 3 or 4 months basically. So towed it home and the project began. So in this video we're going to break down everything that took place, everything that has been replaced, and what it took really to restore the car to the condition you see it at right now. When I just got the car, well, the problem was that this whole area right there was missing, and I mean, I had this piece in the trunk but didn't have the weather strip or the air filter box, the cabin filter box, nor those things in there. Well, of course the engine cover was missing as well, and then it's been sitting outside, it's been raining, the DME was wide open, so the cap for the DME computer was missing as well. Got flooded, had to be replaced later on, and I had to replace it one more time again because it got corroded again. So everything you see right here right now is everything restored to the way it's supposed to be, pretty much. Like, I mean, I don't have clips for this one, but it's like nothing I can do. This doesn't matter. It's like all the wiring was messed up in here, a bunch of stuff in weird positions and conditions, the wiring wide open. Like, whoever tried to bring the car back to life, like, basically had no idea what they were doing, and it was just like pulling wires like a crazy madman basically. So that was insane. And as far as you guys remember, like, you can look back at the videos, like basically everything that was wrong with it. The starter failed, but they decided to dig into DME computer. Why is it not starting? Why I pressed the button and nothing happens? Like, starter is the first place to look. Like, basically when we replaced the starter, the car fired up beautifully. It's like, I mean, it wasn't in great shape to say, but it was running. It was running, and it was running decently fine. So once the car was running, I knew it's like, yeah, that's no big deal from here. So let's get to the numbers and what I spent to bring it back to life. I'll give you all the parts prices in wholesale because I have a wholesale account. So I get the prices like that. So the starter replacement is $140. That's the part only. Everything else also, all the prices I'm giving, this is without any labor charge because, well, obviously I do it myself. So the first thing I went to is Junkyard, because the car internally, it wasn't in terrible condition, but it could use some work. So what I pulled in there, it was climate control. I remember the climate buttons, like all of those were so stuck, like you couldn't really move them, and it didn't work at all. So we got the climate control, the lower motor, and the regulator because it was not working, obviously. Then this shifter, because the other one was like peeling off completely. So this is great example, pretty decent shape. And then those belt pillars right there on both sides in the front. Also the DME cover and this cup holder trim, and like a bunch of other stuff like bolts, nuts, like everything that was missing basically, because I like the BMWs to be particular, and the BMW bolts supposed to be where they supposed to be. So I needed to bring it back the way it has been designed. So that's the first pull. I got everything installed, the AC started working, the blower working, started looking prettier. Then the next thing, I found out that the DME that had been in the car, it started, like, one of the pins has been corroded, and I decided to replace the CAS and the DME together with the set of keys. So I got those in, and after that I had to reprogram that to write the VIN number into CAS, and the DME assumes the VIN number from CAS to the car. Now I learned the mileage of the car. The mileage of the car was 234,000 miles. which originally with the older DME, like it was from another car. It was showing a 155 or something like that. So, but that doesn't really matter. It's like this is a project car, and it's a fun car to drive. So the mileage doesn't mean anything to me really. Next thing, small things started, like at this point the car was drivable. I was able to drive it everywhere. It's like if necessary, and the car was totally fine. Next thing, I got the halo rings bulbs and the windshield wipers because they were in terrible shape. The thing is, like the bulbs worked for a couple days, and one of the wires on the left side was corroded. I kind of Mickey Moused it a little bit, and it worked for a couple days, but then they both shut down, and it's well, there's a big chance because of this shorted wire. That's one thing. The second, I think I have the adaptive light malfunction still because of in my opinion, FRM module. So that's a high probability that the FRM failed. It's like it doesn't have communication with both motors on both headlights. This is rare. It's usually if it's the adaptive headlight control module failure, that would be one light. They don't fail just both at the same time. So we got those for like bulbs and wipers for $160. Then of course I spent about $100 to trying to clean up the catalytic converter, and to my despair, basically it didn't work. So those catalytic converters are gone. There are chances sometimes when you can clean the catalytic converters with specific driving and some cleaning products, but it's a 50-50 chance. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can ask your smog technician, especially if you're in California. It's like they will tell you the same thing. If you have efficiency codes for catalytic converters, like sometimes you can use those cleaners. Basically it's octane boosters, and they burn better and they clean up the cats. But basically, if you ask me why it happens, bad gas. You use cheaper gas, like weird stations, and sometimes it's a bad batch. Like if you was running everything fine and you got your check engine light and those are efficiency codes for catalytic converters, check your gas. Switch the gas station. That's the first thing I would do, and add some octane boosters. If you've been driving like this for years, like yeah, you probably messed up the cats. So next thing on the list, well, valve cover gasket kit. Replace that. That's a $60 basically, and well, I mean it's $100 with the bolts. And what we found, the spark plugs. When I replaced the spark plugs, those spark plugs were not even for this car. It's like, since it's 2006 330, it was E46 330 Ci and the coupe. I think they were produced in 2006 as well, but it's M54 engine. This one's M52. So whoever installed those plugs, they installed it for the E46. Basically they fit the thread, but they're not as long, so it's like that was weird. I had to replace those, and then what we did was oil change, Vanas solenoids and Vanas check valves. It's like Vanas check valves and solenoids. Solenoids I pulled from the junkyard, so I used those just to see what happens. And well, the oil change, of course, oil and filter change is fresh, so that cost me $210. And of course, like if you remember, this is a good time to show the video for how the car was slammed only in the front. I got the front strut assembly from a junkyard for $50 with the shock mounts. $50, both shocks, springs, and mounts. It's like complete assembly. It was on sale, so that was a great deal, and it runs beautifully. It's like everything's way better than it was before. Before it was like all slammed, the nose like to the ground, terrible. Like that's crazy to me. At this point, the car was running more or less smoothly, so the next item on the list was unexpected failure of the alternator. So alternator failed on the weekend, and I kind of wanted to fix it right away, so I went to AutoZone and get one for $250, which is reasonable pricing. The problem with the AutoZone O'Reilly's alternators is they're not communicating with the car properly. So even though it worked, well, first of all, it worked for 3 months to skip ahead, and that's all it took basically. It had constant BSD communication codes with the alternator. So in the end of the day, I went to the junkyard, pulled one from the same car for 60 bucks, put it in, had no problems whatsoever ever since. And I fixed this car a long time ago. I know the video is way overdue. Yeah, we completed during this time in the middle of July. In the beginning of the July, we went to Yosemite. So this car made a trip to Yosemite and back. That's about 700 miles round trip, no problems. Everything works, like AC works, like everything was perfect. Then during that time, I of course replaced front pads and the rotors. The rotors were pretty much gone, and the pads needed to be replaced. That's about $290. And I still was getting, that's an interesting thing, I still was getting on the first startup, like idle was jumping up and down. So it's a regular idle, and I didn't get really any codes, like the codes related things like Vanos solenoids, Vanos check valves, like, and I also replaced the eccentric shaft sensor during the valve cover job replacement, because we had the Chinese sensor in there. That was crazy. So I put the original one in, and but I got it on a junkyard as well. So it was like $15 or something like that, because they don't really know what that is. It's just a sensor. So the new sensor would cost you $300-400. Like, this one was no-brainer. It's like it either works or not. So I put it in, and it worked beautifully. So, and I don't do repairs based on guessing. So every time I replace something, it showed signs that it's failing. So the eccentric shaft sensor has 3 codes, like its communication code, it's 2 other ones I don't exactly remember, but they all showed up. I'm like, well, sure, yeah, we'll do that. And the Vanos solenoids and the check valves, I pulled them out, I cleaned them up, but those things have to be new. It's like, this is a component that definitely needs to be new, just like, let's say, the oil filter, engine oil filter. You don't just not replace it during the oil change, or you put a used one in. It's like, it doesn't make sense. As well as any seal on the car, it must be new. It's like, it's not gonna work the other way around. So back to the story, I still had this like fluctuation and occasional fuel pump malfunction on the screen, even though the car ran fine, full power, everything, never shut down. It's like everything was great. So I decided to, well, of course, just go ahead and replace the fuel pump. But I got these units from the junkyard as well. So I went to the junkyard and I pulled up the fuel pump, and I saw it's like basically was new. It's Continental. It looked pretty new. You can always tell when the parts are new-ish or new in the car. And then I saw the fuel sending unit right there, and that was also kind of new. And I decided to just take both of them, and both of them cost me $60. Instead of fuel sending unit, I think it's running around $200, and the fuel pump around $400. Like, that's the prices for OEM parts. So crazy savings. But once I put that in, everything worked beautifully. But then another light came in. That was for the battery safety terminal, and the airbag light restraint system malfunction basically popped up. In this case, I had to just replace the positive battery terminal with the safety mechanism in there, because just the battery terminal doesn't do anything. It's all about the safety mechanism. So I put it in, and now it's beautiful. So the last pieces what I have, oh, one more thing. One of the most expensive units on the car that I spend money on, wheels and tires. So those wheels, there's nothing special about them, but they're 17s with the decent tires. The tires are not new, but they're a couple years old only. Those are 225 45 17s, square setup, front and back. They're exactly the same. Newer design rims from the F30 BMW, but this is what 330 actually from the factory is supposed to be with. The previous rims, I like them, but they are kind of damaged. They are 18s and they're staggered setup. Like, I like the design of it, but I needed proper wheels that will make it to Yosemite. Basically, that's why I got those, and they look great. One of the last items I got for the car was the driver's seat was ripped, as well as one cushion and the bottom cushion. So I got those from the Junkyard, and they cost me 70 bucks. They're not great, but they're not ripped, and they're in way better shape. And it's like, this is a usable, absolutely usable car. I love driving it sometimes, and it runs perfect. Like, there are some other items like the headlights. I had to restore them from completely yellow to the condition they're at now. Took some doing basically, but it's not a replacement lights. So those are the ones that you see in the beginning of the video. I'm pretty sure we can find the footage where to put it side by side basically. This is all that it took to bring the car to life. Now it's used every day by someone, and it's a great example of a car. Let's run the numbers one more time real quick, just without any description. So what do we got? Starter 140, then Junkyard Pool 160, DME and CAS 310, bulbs and wipers 160, cat cleaners it's 100, valve cover gasket kit spark plugs 130, oil change and van is 210, front struts 50, alternator, well, the second one 60 bucks, wheels and tires 390, fuel pump 60, front pads and rotors 290, and the driver's seat 70 bucks. So the total overall expense with the cost of the car of 800 comes out to $2,930, and you get yourself a pretty good running machine. Well, basically, from what I see mechanically, nothing's leaking here. Everything works as it's supposed to, and everything works great, but it's not trouble-free completely car. I still have this adaptive headlight malfunction, and that kind of bothers me. So I'm gonna fix it eventually, but this is definitely something that I like. This car, it's like I have no problem believing that if I need to go somewhere far away, I can jump into this one and it will take me there, no problem.
Waiting for Perry.
So this is the only things that are left. The halo rings don't work, adaptive headlight, and of course let's not forget the catalytic converters that eventually will need to be replaced, and I'll do that. But for now it doesn't affect performance of the car in any way, but yeah, I'll have to clean up those lights. Like, it definitely bothers me. But everything else, it works, runs great, no issues with it. It's used every day now. It's just beautiful. So this is it, guys. This is a car that is fully pretty much restored. I'm pretty sure I missed some things. Like, I remember, of course, we have a video on door lock actuator replacement, and it's not in the price list, but in the end of the day, it's a very cheap car, and it didn't require me to just dump all this money into it right away. It took some time, a process. Like, you eliminate one thing at a time, you build the interior here and there, and the thing is, it gives me more pleasure driving something that is so low cost. It's like you got it for nothing, and you put next to nothing into it, and you're driving it now, and it takes you everywhere you want to go, and everything works in there. So it's just I love restoring those things just for the sake of restoring. So this is a great car. Maybe you will eventually do the paint job, but like, I don't really see the point in redoing the bumper. The rest of the car is in great shape. Like, the paint is really great, and this is, mind you, well, it's 2025 now, but it's gonna be 20 years old in just a couple weeks. So whenever you're watching this, like, this is a very old car technically, but it still does the job, and it's reliable as long as you maintain it properly. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.